was made by Template on DA. He won a Pinkie Pie in one of my contests, and that's what he made for me to say thank you. So how cool, WhiteDove making plushes with Rarity. Okay, so most of you know I am WhiteDove Creations. I've been making plushies for about 2.5, 3 years now. So kind of how I got started was through my son. My son was a brony, and him and I went to Omaha one time, went up to the city, wanted to go to Toys R Us. And so when we got up there, he kind of ditched me, went off somewhere really fast, and I couldn't find him. So I wandered all over Toys R Us looking for him, and I couldn't find him, and I finally found him in the pink aisle. And so I'm like, okay, what are you doing in the pink aisle? And so he was looking at My Little Ponies. And so I went, okay, what's going on? And he said, I like My Little Pony. And I said, well, I think your sister mentioned that about a month ago, that you like My Little Pony, and I thought it was really weird, so I ignored it. And so I said, okay, so what's the story? So on the way home, he explained about how the Brony Wars with 4chan and all that got started. And so I'm like, okay, this is really weird. And then how it went to Reddit and all that. So he kind of explained it to me, and he asked me to make him a plush. Fluttershy is his favorite. So we started out with Fluttershy, and well, when he asked me to make it, I said, I have no clue how to make plushies. I had never made anything like that, never made a stuffed animal in my life. I made Native American regalia. My husband's Native American. And so I just made these big fancy shawls and jingle dresses and that kind of thing. And so I told him, I said, well, unless I see the show, I can't make it. So he marathoned all the shows. He sent them all to me, and I marathoned, watched them all, and I fell in love with them. Fell in love with the show. So I'm not real big into the fandom. I get a lot of questions about, what is my favorite part of the fandom, but it's the show that I love. That's kind of what I do. I am known for making my plushies that are show accurate to the show. So there's a lot of variations, but that's what I went for. That was my niche. So that's kind of how I got started, was after I watched the show, I found a couple of free patterns. I looked at them. I didn't really care for the free patterns. I didn't think they were very show accurate. And since I'm kind of an artist, and it went against my artistic eye, I started drawing my own patterns. Well, my first pattern was, as my son called it, an atrocity. She looked like a giraffe. She had really long, skinny legs. And so I made another one, and I made the legs too short and fat. So he rejected both of those and told me he was going to go commission somebody else. And so I had to quickly make a third one because I couldn't let my son down, and I couldn't have him commission somebody else. And he accepted that one. He still has that one today. So yeah, it's pretty cool. So, this first picture is just kind of a conglomerate of some of the things I've done. I love the one with Lauren right there in the middle. And as most of you know, I made about 3 Fausticorns. And the first one I made is up here. And this one is signed by Lauren, and it went into the Traveling Pony Museum at BronyCon. And so then I made another one, because I wanted to make one that was more show accurate to her OC. And so I made another one, and I posted it on DA, and she contacted me and wanted to know what it would take to purchase that one. So we made a trade, and she ended up with that one, so that was pretty cool. And there's one of Dusty Cat kissing, so it's the smart pants up there, so that's pretty cute. And I think that was a BronyCon last year. So, was that BronyCon last year? Yep. So, anyway, that's kind of my story. It was really unexpected. It was out of the blue, and just something I did not expect to be doing. And as soon as I made him, I think his third Fluttershy, then I started making them and putting them on eBay. And at that time, there was probably only about 3 or 4 plush makers that were making these ponies. There's about 500 today, but at that time there wasn't any, and so it was quite an experience, I guess. Okay, so how many in here would like to try making their own plushies? Let me guess, they're expensive. Okay. And they are, and we get this a lot. All the plush makers is like, okay, how come we can't buy these for $40? Okay, well, if you ever try to make anything handmade, you know how much labor is involved. You know, whether you draw, whether you paint, sew, whatever, there's many, many hours. And most handmade stuff, the price reflects the hours that you have in it. Not so much the material, but the hours. And so that's why a lot of people are like, yeah, we want to try to make our own, because you know, you spend $400 on a plush, that's a lot of money. And some people can, some people can't. It's part of why I make them. So anyway, supplies and necessities. If you want to start sewing and making these yourself, you definitely need a sewing machine. And you don't have to go out and buy a $1,000 sewing machine. You can buy a $100 sewing machine used on eBay. All you need is something that'll make a straight stitch and a zigzag. That's all you need. It doesn't have to be complicated. It doesn't have to be a digital machine. It can just be a basic sewing machine. Okay? The other thing is the embroidery. All the eyes and cutie marks on here, on my ponies, they're all machine embroidered. You do not have to do that. Most embroidery machines, the Brother SE400 starts at $400. It's not expensive, but it is $400. So if you don't want to do that, you can applique them. And all applique is you cut the colored fabric out of like satin, you just cut out the pieces and you zigzag around it. And so that's called applique. And that's a lot cheaper than an embroidery machine. So you don't have to have an embroidery machine. If you want to upgrade to that, do the Brother SE400. It's the least expensive. There are some people that, I mean, like at BronyCon, there was a guy there that's got a $10,000 machine. Okay, that's pretty expensive. But that's what he does for a living. Some of my other supplies, I use polyfill, just plain old polyfill. Of course, you can imagine I buy it by the 10-pound box at Walmart. So a lot cheaper. So because I make so many of them, I buy in large quantities. Most of my thread comes from Thread Art, my embroidery thread, and I buy that in bulk. Same way with the backing. You need a backing behind this. If you're going to do any type of zigzag work, embroidery work, you have to have a backing. And it's just like a tearaway light fabric. It's a backing. It just tears off real easy. So you have to have that on top of minky. And the other picture up there that looks like little bolts, that's Wonder Under. And what that is, that's an iron-on. So if you're going to do like applique work, you have to have something that holds the piece of fabric in place on your minky. And there's like a spray-on glue you can use. I like Wonder Under because it's less messy. And you just iron that on, then you can iron the eye right to the fabric. And that also is at Walmart, Hobby Lobby, any fabric store. So I like to use that kind of stuff. As you can see, I have a large supply of minky too. Most of my minky comes from online, and minky is just a fake fur. If you don't know what minky is, when my son asked me to make them out of minky, I went, "What is minky?" So minky's just a fake fur, is all it is, real short neck. And so I buy that in quantity, mostly from fabric.com, Minky Boutique, just any of those. Just type in minky, several sites come up. And so I buy a lot of my minky from them. Okay, patterns. Like I said, I never did use any of the patterns that are on DA. There are about 6 or 7 free patterns on DA. I advise you to go and get one of those. If you have no idea how a pony is constructed, or if you have very little sewing experience, I have been sewing for about 30 years professionally. So I knew a lot about how to make patterns and how to sew and all that. So, but if you don't really know where to start or what you're doing, DA has a whole bunch of free ones. If you don't like those, Etsy has a whole bunch of them for sale from $5 to $10. So patterns are pretty cheap and easy to get. And that's a place to start because I had no idea how they were constructed. These all have an underbelly. And there's a piece under here. If you don't have this underbelly and the gusset down through the head, they don't look like ponies. And some of them you see on eBay don't. So the other picture up there is just kind of a progress of how I start mine when I start making them. I do put the eyes and the cutie marks on the fabric before I cut the pattern out. If you cut it out and then you try to embroider it, you can get them to where they're not totally even. And if you look at your pony straight on, one eye will be down, one eye will be up, or the cutie marks are off. And so you need to do it while you just have a big square of fabric, put your cutie mark and eyes on first. Whether you embroider, applique, whatever, put them on first. And so you'll get a lot more even. I went on a website and found school supplies. And they have a great big roll of butcher block paper. And I like the white rather than the unbleached because you can trace through it, because I trace my pattern screenshots right off the internet. And so you just get a big roll of paper and you can draw all your patterns out. You can pin through it. It makes really nice paper for making patterns. So So that's what I use. Some people use the backing for their embroidery, this backing we use for the eyes, and some of them use that for their patterns, and I've done that. But I like the paper because it's easy to draw on. Okay, a lot of people ask me, what do you start with? This is minky versus fleece. I like minky. Everybody likes the feel of minky because they're so soft, cuddly, all that. But fleece is a whole lot cheaper. So while you're learning, and a lot easier to get because you can go down to Walmart and get fleece. Joann's, any of those. So I advise you to go and get your fleece. The colors aren't quite as accurate. When I first started these 2.5 years ago, there's like 6 colors of minky. Now there's 50. So you can get all the right colors for the ponies, but start with fleece. Don't use cotton, don't use satin, don't use any, they don't have a stretch, you need a stretch. So make sure that you go and get your fleece, get your pattern, and try it. And the first few times I've had people contact me going, well, I did my first pony, it doesn't look like a pony, it's awful, and I give up. Don't do that. Remember, I did 3 of them. My son rejected the first 2, they were awful. You can't give up. But it's a lot cheaper to make mistakes with fleece than minky. Most fleece is about $4 a yard. Most minky runs anywhere from $14 to $20 a yard. So, and you can imagine with Rainbow Dash how many colors you have to have. So if you bought a yard of each one, you can have $100 in minky. So you want to make sure that you start with fleece first until you get a pattern you like, and at least resembles what you're looking for. The thing with fleece, there is no nap to it. And a nap is, if you take it, you brush it one way, it's going to be dark, you brush it the other way, they're light. So on the minky up there, you can see where I've run my fingers down it. That's when you make the fur go the opposite direction, that's called a nap. And so you want to make sure when you're cutting these out that one side of your pony, the nap is going down, make sure the nap's going down on the other side, otherwise if it's going up, you're going to have a weird looking pony. So anytime you use the fur, make sure the naps are both going the same way. The other thing I learned is that the stretch has to go across the leg. So the stretch is actually going across the leg. If it goes down, you end up with a giraffe, which is what happened to me. And so I overcompensated, and that's why I got a short, fat pony the second time. So the stretch has to go across the leg. You also have to overdraw your pattern. If you draw it exactly like the screenshot, by the time you sew it and stuff it, it's too skinny. So ponies are fat. So you want to make sure you overcompensate, make sure you have seam allowances when you draw your patterns. Oh, the other picture there that's on top of the fleece, that's what happens when the stretch doesn't go on the underbelly, when the stretch doesn't go across the leg. Now on that one, I got in a hurry and I sew and I work till 1, 2 o'clock in the morning, so sometimes I'm not paying attention. And I cut the underbelly with the stretch going down the leg, and I cut the outside with the stretch going across the leg. And so you end up with a pony with its spade legs. And there is no correcting that. That is trash. So I had to throw it in the trash can. So you just want to make sure you've got your stretch going the same way on the underbelly and the top side, or you've got something you can't use. Okay, assembling ponies. There's different plush makers that assemble their ponies differently. For me, I have the body itself. I cut the body out, I sew the underbelly, and I stuff it, sew the head together, make sure it's all stuffed where I need it to be, and then I make the head. And I stuff the head, I sew on the ears and horn if there's a horn, and then I sew the head to the body. That is one way. There are patterns that have you, let's see. I had Space Voyagers, yeah, the little Pond 3 on here, that is Space Voyager's pony. And what she does is she sews the head to the body, and then she stuffs the whole thing at once, tail and everything. And then there's a couple other plush makers that their entire head, neck, body, and everything is all one piece. And there is no seam at the neck. So I guess it just depends on the look you're looking for. What I tell everybody, we're artists. It doesn't matter what your form of art is. You never want to copy anybody else. So when people come on and they go, I want to make plushies just like you did. Well, I suggest that you don't make plushies just like I do. Everyone needs their own style. And I can tell you every one of the top plush makers who they are, because they have their own unique style. And I think that's really cool. And it doesn't mean that your plushies are any better or any worse than mine, it just means you have your own style. And so when you go on there and you say, hey, well, these are Joann's plushies, well, you know what, I'm gonna go, you're right, they are, I know it, and I can tell it because you have your own style. So I really like that about how each one kind of does them different, but you have to decide whether or not you like the 2-piece construction, 1 piece, 2-piece and stuff it all at once. you know, you have to play around with it. This took me 2.5 years to get to where I'm at now. And I didn't start out this way. Also, that picture of the black tail right there, that's showing where the top stitching, especially on Octavia, you have to have a backing. And that's what I was saying, this backing you get from thread art. You have to have that, you lay the binky on top and then you zigzag on it. If you don't, your needle will push the fabric down into your machine. So you have to have a backing. And you can zigzag it, you can just do a straight stitch, but you have to have a backing when you're working with minky. And probably do with fleece too. I didn't make much with fleece, I moved right to minky really fast. Okay, this is places to market your minkies or your ponies if that's just what you decide you want to do. Down the road is if you decide you want to sell them, if you want to make them for yourselves. Lots of people make them as gifts. They give them to their kids, grandkids, whatever. If you just want, but if you do want to make them and sell them, the only thing I can tell you right now is there are so many plush makers on the market that the demand is not what it used to be unless you're already well known or you have a superior product. So I know there for a while people were thinking, wow, I can make these and make a lot of money, but the demand is, I should say the supply has outstripped the demand. But if you decide that's what you want to do, these are places that you can go and sell them. You've got Reddit, you've got Etsy, you've got DeviantArt, you've got the cons, which I don't have on here. I vended at BronyCon for the first time this year, and that was fun. That was an experience. So I really enjoyed that. And so there's just different places you can go and market your ponies. And but it just is, you know, it's up to you what you want to do, whether or not you're wanting to do these as gifts or if you're wanting to sell them. So, but they're still, I mean, my wait list is a year long. So the demand is still there. It helps that, you know, I mean, people know who I am, but the demand is still there. It's just really hard to find show accurate plushies. So the one thing also that I did that because I was so well known was my charity work, and I did a food drive here 2 years ago. We've done 2 of these now, and it's my local food pantry, and so I put out a contest, and we raised $10,000 for the local food pantry, and I was just blown away. And that's due to you guys. So yeah, give us all your hand. I do giveaways on my DeviantArt probably 2 times a year. See, last year I did an OC contest, and I had almost 1,000 entries for that OC contest. It was just amazing. So that was phenomenal. I think to date I've given away 42 ponies. So, and I brought one to give away today, Twilight. And at the last minute I decided I'm going to give away my little Dash filly. So. What's that? Yes. Okay, also whenever, the other thing you can do, almost every town, small town, I mean I live in a town of 7,000, so it's a little town. Almost every little town has a community college or has one really close. If you don't have any sewing experience and you want to take it, you're out of school. If you're still in school, you can take home ec, take sewing. If you're out of school, go take sewing classes at your local community college, and they'll teach you the basics of sewing. So you kind of need to have the basics. I've had people contact me going, I want to make a plushie, how do I sew? Okay, well, okay, you have to know how to you have to know the basics of sewing. So that's a good place to go and start, and just take some classes. The other thing is you have to practice, and you have to work at it, and you can't get discouraged, because if you got discouraged, I would have quit 2.5 years ago. But my son wouldn't let me quit, and he was my hardest critic. And every time I made one, he'd go, her ear's not right, that foot's not right, that wing's not right, you have to change it, you have to fix it. So when you're changing and you're fixing your pattern, do it little by little tweaks at a time. If you do big tweaks at a time, you're going to have a funny looking pony, and you're not going to know where you went wrong. So you have to do just little tweaks at a time, and that's why this is my 7th revision. So after 7 times, I'm pretty happy with where I'm at, but it took several revisions. And when I mean revisions, I mean I totally redid the pattern. But tweaks, I've probably had 100 tweaks on my ponies. So each time you make one, if you pick one item that you don't like, fix it, and then make the pony again. Don't try to make too many revisions at one time because you won't know where you went wrong, and it'll take you much longer. So just lot smaller tweaks, and it'll be a lot easier. And most of you know that I'm on DeviantArt most of the time. That's where I live. Yeah, I like DeviantArt. I am on Facebook. I'm on Reddit once in a while. I've been going to the cons, but mostly I'm on DeviantArt. I talk to all of my fans, all of them. I have 15,000 watchers on DA, but I talk to everybody. If you come on there, what's that? Yeah, watchers on DA? Cool. If you come on there and talk to me, I will talk to you. I do get a lot of complaints from my watchers that say they talk to the other plush makers and they won't answer. I do. So I talk to everybody. Sometimes it takes me a day, but I talk to everybody. If you come on there and you ask me a question and you're polite, and I will answer any questions you want to have about plush making. So, so I will answer your questions. If you're trying to make a pony and don't send me a book. Okay, I do get some that send me questions that are 10 paragraphs long. Don't do that. I don't have time for that. But if you have a question, just come on there and ask me, and I will be glad to help you. A lot of people want to know where I get my supplies, or they just have a question about how do you sew one thing, and I would be happy to help you with that. So this is a passion. This is something I love to do. I really care about my fans, and so I'd be glad to help you at any time. So that's all I have for my PowerPoint. I would be happy to entertain any questions. Okay. Purple. Yes. How old is he? He's 25. Yes. My daughter's 24 next week. So yeah, they were adult kids. Yes.
Okay, I like cosplay. I mean,
So do I.
if y'all seen me yesterday, I was in Christmas and my board, I made it out of cardboard and a headband. Last time was a spray paint. And I'd actually like to make a stuffed board next time because this thing I bought is amazing. And,
So what is your question?
what are your suggestions on making a type of board like that?
Well, I don't have time to do cosplay anymore. I used to when I was younger, but just make it out of whatever fabric you make it out of and stuff it with polyfill. What you would use to put it on your head, I assume if you like your headband, I don't know, because that's not something I do right now, is the cosplay outfits. Yeah, mine are just kind of ponies right now. Okay. Fluttershy.
One of the things that kind of bugs me about many plushes you find is the seam between the hair and the mane. Could you say a few words about how you designed those to fit together without looking at the chat?
The seam where?
Between like the top hair and the mane that comes behind.
Okay, I don't have a seam there. And the reason a lot of plush makers have a seam, you're talking about like down the back of the head?
But like dash hair might be flat on top with then a pouch at the end. So I'm curious how you figured out how to make that. Bangs from the rest.
Okay, well on Dash right here, her back mane just lays flat on here because I hand sew these on, the manes and tails. A lot of plush makers, they cut seams into the head and they sew the mane and the manes anyway into that seam. Same way with the ears. I don't do that. I make the head solid, stuff it, sew it to the body, and then the ears and the manes and tails are all sewn on by hand. So this is laying on flat here, but I put this top mane on first and sew it into place, and then I take the back mane and I lay it over the top of the raw edge of the top mane here. And so I just lay it on top rather than try to incorporate it into a seam, because I don't like that look either. And a lot of times it looks like it's separated, or they're not joined together. And I also don't like the look of when they put these ears into the seams, they're too flat. So mine actually curve around the body, around the head. So, but it's all hand sewn, and that's why it takes so long. The other thing with my tails, I do not sew this tail onto the body. I cut a hole, and so this tail is actually crammed into the backside of the pony, about 1.5 inches, and then I sew around it so it's a lot more stable. There is wire in all these tails, so they're free floating. There's wire in my wings, And in Rarity, there's wire in her mane and tail. And other than that, that's the only wire I use. I stuff these ponies fairly tight. A lot of plush makers don't. They're real soft, but they will also break down over about a year, especially here at the hock where it's real narrow. If you don't stuff that real tight, it breaks down over time. And then they don't stand up anymore. So my ponies are stuffed pretty tight. So, any more questions? Very good. Okay, well, WhiteDove started back when I was making Native American regalia, which was about 14 years ago. And the white was, my husband is Native American, he's a tribal member, so are both my kids. But I'm not. So the white came because I'm a white person. And Dove came because I'm a Christian. And so that's became WhiteDove. So that's where the name was from. Yes? Luna. I love Rarity. Rarity's my favorite pony. Yeah, Rarity's my favorite. So I've got Silver Slinger's necklace on here. But Luna is my favorite to make. I think she's just an absolute beautiful pony. So, in the black hat.
Yes, I was thinking, one thing that might be interesting for you to do would be to make a video of you, film yourself making one of plushes so that people can go and watch that and see your process in action.
I have been asked that many times to make one of those, to do tutorials, to do live streaming and all that. The problem is I just don't have time. My commission list is a year long right now. And I haven't opened commissions in a year and a half. So it's just super long. And now that I've been doing a few conventions, I haven't had time. And also, this is not my full-time job. I have a full-time rental business that I own. And I have to run that all day and I sell all night. Yes, Pinky. Each one of these takes, the basic ones take me 20 hours. The princesses take me about 3 days. Celestia takes me 3 or 4 days. Chrysalis has taken me a week. So, Big Mac, I actually did 3 days right before I went to BronyCon. I had a request and I went, I don't think so, I don't think I can get it done. And I went, yeah, I can do that. So I did. Yes.
Why don't you do it full time? I mean, that's a lot of money from this business.
I make a lot more in my real estate. I have a real estate, I've been doing that for 25 years, and so it's a business that's established, and so that's my job, that's what I do. Yes. I have lost track, but I know it's got to be 200, 300, I don't know, I've lost track. I took 40 to BronyCon and I sold them all out in about 2 hours, except for 9 of them, and the rest of those I sold over the weekend. So I don't know, I lose track. I just make so many. Spike right there.
Yeah, so you said your commission list is long, so I was just curious how much you charge if you wanted to give commission.
What, tutorial? I hadn't even thought of that. I'll give that some thought. Note me on DA. The black cat.
For someone who just wanted to start, what would you say is the easiest one?
The easiest pony to make?
Yeah.
Probably Twilight. I would say Twilight, Pinky. Yeah, one of those. Pinky does have a lot of top stitching, but even if you wanted to just try to test out a pattern, I would forego all the top stitching on her mane and tail and just get your pattern down. Twilight's pretty easy. Stay away from Rainbow Dash for a while. Don't even tackle Christmas. On. Yes, you, in the white hat. On.
Have you ever thought of making a pony just for yourself based on your own personality?
I did. I made a WhiteDove plushie one time and somebody bought it at BronyCon. I was honored. Yeah, I made my own OC, and yeah, it went out. Chrysalis.
Me?
Yeah.
Oh, I'm not your moon.
Oh, no, I'm sorry. Okay, good help. Nightmare Moon.
Have you ever made a Nightmare Moon plushie?
I actually have an order for one right now. The guy's paid, so he's waiting for me to get it done. So that one and a Maniac are both coming out. So I haven't made either one of those yet. Luna. By far. I made 4 Lunas and I took them to BronyCon and I sold them in 30 minutes. No. twice as many next year. Whose was that? Oh, okay. Okay. Sure. Yeah, I mean, you need to stuff them fairly tight. I mean, they don't have to be stuffed to, where they're just like bricks, but you need to stuff them fairly firm so that they stand and they last. Pinky, or Fluttershy. I get that asked in every single panel. No. Just because I love the plushies, and the demand is so great for the ponies that's what I make. So there isn't any of the others I do have a Sakura coming out, but other than that, I just stay with the ponies because that's what I like to do. And also, I think it's Magnastorm does beautiful Discord, and so I just haven't. Oh, yes. No. Neither of the Hasbro's ones, so. There's no contest. So, what I do is, it's for people looking for show accurate plushies, and so the Build-A-Bears are not a problem. Neither Fourth Dimensions or any of the others. It hasn't slowed down. If anything, my commission lists have gotten longer. So it's been phenomenal. So, okay, questions in the back. Brown hat. Actually, I don't like doing wings. Yeah, I don't like doing wings, and I really don't like doing the wings on Celestia. They're a lot of work, and they're big, and you have to. I put quilt batting in the wings before I ever turn them. I mean, I sew it actually with quilt batting right in it. Then I turn them, then you gotta stuff them, and then I put a piece of Pellon in them to make them stiffer, and then you gotta top stitch them. So it's like I spend all afternoon just doing 2 pairs of wings, one pair of wings, so I don't like doing wings. But other than that, I've been making these long enough that it's not really, any of it's really hard, it's just time consuming, and you get to where you just don't like doing certain things. And I'm not real crazy about having to put all the pieces to dash together. The tail, it just takes a while, but I love the look. Yes, with the red shirt.
Have you ever been threatened with like D&D from like Hasbro or anything?
Thank you. I wondered how long that would take. Yes, I have, and no, I haven't. I should clarify that. When I first got started in this, it was like in November, right at the end of the first season, is when I started making plushies. In May of the following year, I was contacted by Hasbro, and it went like a firestorm over the internet that WhiteDove Creations was taken down by Hasbro. Got a C&D. It never happened, guys. It's not true. But that went through the internet like a firestorm. And what happened was Hasbro contacted DeviantArt, and like I said, at this time there was only about 5 of us plush makers, and all of us had our things on DeviantArt. We had our commission prices, and they were all right up on DeviantArt. Now, if you go to my page now, you'll see there's no prices. And the reason is because DeviantArt contacted the president, Hasbro contacted the president of DeviantArt and said, we want WhiteDove taken off of DeviantArt, remove her page. The president said, I got a better idea. How about if we just ask her to remove her prices? And Hasbro said, sounds good to me. And that's all that happened. And so I put out a little blog on my DeviantArt that said, I've been contacted by Hasbro. They've asked me to take down my prices. That was it. And the internet took it that I got a C&D, and they ran with it. And for 1 solid month, that's all anybody talked about. The good thing about that was I found out everybody knew who WhiteDove was, because I didn't think anybody knew who I was. So after that, I found out that everybody knew who WhiteDove was. But it didn't happen. I never got a C&D. Hasbro was perfectly fine with me making plushies. They just asked me to take down my prices. Now, since then, like I said, there are hundreds of plush makers, and they all post their prices. Hasbro likes the fans. They want us to support the show and their product, and so I've never heard from them since. Back here.
Have you ever been a part of another fandom before this? Like, did you do cosplay?
I didn't. Not really. It was just a few times that I did. It's just something I like to do. I just didn't really get much into it. I've always had a business, like I said, I've run a real estate business for 25 years, and that eats into your fun time. So, not so much. Yes? In the purple.
Okay. What's your most expensive plushie you made?
Chrysalis. Yeah, I've made 2. And the first one I ever made, I put it on eBay and she sold for $2,200. Now, I cannot control eBay and what it does. I think eBay is crazy. But my commission prices are half that for Chrysalis. But she is very complex because of the holes in her legs, and I do put the holes in them. So, and I have one of those coming up that a guy's paid for, so I gotta get that one made too. So. Oh, okay. So, more questions?
Have you ever thought of expanding your business into other runs like hair?
I haven't. There again, I like the ponies. I grew up with horses. I grew up in Oklahoma Panhandle, and so I had horses all my life, and so it's I like horses. Yes.
Where in town does he live?
Guyman,
I just know that.
Hooker, yeah, Hooker, Oklahoma. So yeah, yeah. I like my southern roots. I miss them. Yeah, right back here. Yeah, you. Yeah. I can't hear you. Louder.
Have you ever gotten any commissions from crystal ponies?
Crystal ponies? I haven't.
Crystal forms of
From the Chrysalis Empire? Crystal Empire? I haven't. I know Nazagorian has a couple of times. I've seen a couple of hers on DeviantArt, but I haven't. Nobody's asked me to make one. Way in the back, in the black shirt.
How much would you say you make a month on this?
I don't know. I went for the first 6 months of this year making no ponies at all because I spent most of it in the hospital. So it just varies. So you just never know. And it depends. Like now this last month, I haven't hardly worked on ponies at all because I've had a couple empty houses and I've had to go work on those. So it just varies. And I can tell you now, guys, my real estate makes a lot more money. If you're going to talk money, I don't do this for the money. I do this because I love it. Now, granted, I do make some money off these ponies, but that's not why I do it. Okay? I absolutely love to make them. If you're a seamstress and you love to sew, you do this because you love to sew, and it's not about the money. My daughter's an artist. She's an art major. She graduated with an art major. That girl's been drawing on anything that doesn't move since she was 2. She draws because she loves it. She makes no money as an art major, which is why she's going back to school to get a different degree. But you do it because you love it. She draws because she loves it. This is why I do this. Okay, so it's not about how much I make a month. So my living is my other business. Yes.
Who were the other people that were making plushies when you started?
Evil Sugar was one of them. I cannot tell. Magna Storm, she was making some, and Baby London Star had just quit. So that was about it. I think Witty Kitty was also making a couple. And I think it was just about the 5 of us. Yes. A Gilda? I haven't been asked to. Yeah, right here in the green colored shirt. There. Yes.
Aside from your son, have you ever made a plushie for someone really special?
I made one. Oh.
Maybe even had difficulty giving it away?
I don't have any trouble giving them away. I love to give them away. I love to surprise them. I gave one to my brother. I have a twin, and I gave one to him. He doesn't have a clue what My Little Pony is. He just saw them and thought they were cute, and he wanted a Southern Pony, so I gave him Applejack. I surprised Dusty Cat at BronyCon last year, and it's cool to watch the Manly's Brony cry. I just get the biggest kick out of giving them away. I mean, they're, sure, I can sell Twilight for $500 and have the money, but like I said, it's not about the money. This is why I give them away. I get the biggest kick out of seeing people's faces that win them. Yeah, one more time. 3, 2, 1. I'll come back in. Good.
Was there any specific artists or
I'm sorry, what was that?
is there any other artists any questions that you
Inspiration? No. There isn't, and that's what I was saying before. I draw the inspiration out of my own head because I too am an artist. I've been drawing since I was a little kid. I had more sense than my daughter not to go to college and get an art major. So, but artist is something I've always been, and so the inspiration came strictly off screenshots and right from the show. Oh, yes. No, and I probably won't. Yes. You. I have. I took one to BronyCon and sold it. She's on my DeviantArt. So, anybody else in the back? Questions? Back in Black Hat?
What about the dragon from the show?
Like I said, ponies. Yep. That's what I like to make. It's just the ponies. And yeah, well, the zebra's kind of a pony. Yes.
Is this a pure relaxing idea, or do you sometimes get stressed by it?
The only time I get stressed is, like I said, when I was so ill this year that I got way behind on my commission list. And then my commission list ran right into BronyCon. And so I was trying to do a commission list and trying to get 40 ponies made for BronyCon. That got a little stressful. But otherwise, yes, I can go down, I can forget all about the rental business and my real estate, and I can go down there and make ponies, and it's relaxing, it's fun. And they're like your children, especially after you start putting the manes on them. It's like, oh, they're coming to life, and then you pet them, and you gotta hug each one goodbye. So yeah, that's kind of silly. Yeah. Okay.
Like, you mentioned Christmas. Have you ever done a changeling or even multiple for that matter?
I have a changeling coming up also. Yeah, I've got about 10 of these I have to go home and finish. No, I haven't done that one. Now, that one was in my my OC contest, but it got, I think, about 14th, and then it got weeded out. So. Okay. Way in the back in the purple. Sure.
Yes. Have you ever gotten any requests for the sirens or pony versions of the sirens?
Nope. Usually what you see on my DeviantArt is what I've had requests for, and because I have such a demand, I mostly just do what people request. I have quite a few OCs, if you look on there too, so some really unusual ones, and the pink ears. A bat pony? I have a changeling coming up, but the closest bat pony I've got is Flutterbat. And I think Flutterbat's cute. I've done several of her. Yes. I don't know what that is.
Sea serpent.
Sea serpent? Oh. I don't know if demand has anything to do with it, but right now, probably not. Probably not. It'll be with the ponies. Like I said, if you have a question like that and you want me to look at it, send me a picture. And if it's something I think I can do, then I might take it on if it's something different. Okay?
Have you ever made any costumes for them, like any
I did a dash and gal. And that's one of my favorite ones I've ever made. It's on the front of my DA page.
what about our
No, I don't like the PowerPoints. Yeah, not one of my favorite episodes. So, yeah, the blue in the back.
Have you ever made a life-size plushie?
I have one I'm working on, and I cannot wait to finish it. You can ride it. And it's a Twilight, and she stands about 4 feet tall. She has a metal frame, and I'm hoping to have it done for BronyCon next year. And I'm trying to talk my daughter into going to Spike. I know she will, and she's, my daughter's 5'9", so I can stretch her down, put her in the Spike outfit. But yes, it's a Twilight, and I'm trying to finish it so you can. I'll have it at BronyCon. You can ride. Yes. No, I haven't. I've made only 2 cadence, but I haven't had a request for it, so I haven't done. So, yes. Thank you.
I know you said that you don't consider partnering with someone who possibly animate or making skins or like having motorized.
I haven't thought of that. No, I mean, I'm in a little town. I don't really know anybody, that I could partner with to do that. I'm not sure I want to. I like the plushies to be plushies. And I know that there was a chrysalis on the internet here a while back, and it was a beautiful chrysalis, one of the best I've ever seen. But it's a totally wire frame. Now, it is minky over it, but it was a wire frame. It is not a plushie, in my opinion. When you start adding, mechanicals and you know, I try to keep to the very basic wire in these as I possibly can because they're supposed to be plushies. And so that's what I do. Yes. The which ones? No, I don't like the rainbow either. I barely tolerated Twilight's wings, so. I just like the original designs that Lauren did. Those are just my favorites, so that's what I like doing. Flutterbat, I accepted her because she was really cute. Blonde hair back here? No, I haven't, and actually I've only seen one of them done, and I believe it was Witty Kitty that did it. I'm not sure now, but one of them did it. Oh. So, actually, I think it's Makeshift Wings did a set of those. It's the only ones I've ever seen. Yes. She's coming up. Yep, she's coming up. I have one. Yes. Yes, you.
So are there requests for ponies that one pony did like anime style ponies or manga style ponies?
I've gotten requests for lots of stuff, but I turn them down. Yeah, I just do the ponies. That's right. Are they stain proof? Yes. Well, like anything, they're a fabric. I mean, you're gonna. Probably the worst atrocity I've seen done to these things is people's hands. And that's why when I take these to cons, you know, I usually ask people don't handle them or touch them. And it's not that one person hurts them, it's that 1,000 people can hurt them. Just make sure you clean your hands when you handle these, because your hands sweat, your hands are dirty, I mean, we're human beings. This is minky. You can take a wet cloth, you can wipe them down if you get a spot. If they get kind of dirty, you can get woolite and mix a little bit of woolite in the sink and put a rag in it, bring the water out and wipe them down with woolite. But there again, if you're going to carry a rarity around, make sure your hands are clean. Don't give them to your 2-year-old that's eating a candy apple. They're going to get dirty. So, you know, like anything, these are, I mean, and I know people that they cuddle with them, they have them in bed, they sleep with them. They're durable, but like anything, they're fabric and they will get dirty if your hands aren't clean, or, you know, if you eat around them, if you handle them constantly, they will get dirty. So. No. I don't think so. I think I've made all the ones I really want to make. I've seen a couple of really cool OCs, and I've got some coming up, but I just haven't got to them yet. Life is really getting in the way of my fun. Yeah, I may. That one was phenomenal. I just couldn't believe 1,000 people didn't hear that one. So, yes. Probably not after today, because I'm giving away 2 today. So, yeah. So I had planned on doing one here in I think it was October, and I was going to give away my little dash, and I ended up bringing it here instead. So, yeah. Yes. You know, they at first thought, my family thought it was, he asked me what my family thought of this. And I still have my parents are still alive. And at first when I told them about all this, and all of a sudden that WhiteDove was really well known in the fandom and all this, my parents were kind of like me, were like, wow, really? But then they're like, that's so cool. And then my mom started coming over and helping cut out ponies and helping them. And then my dad's like, well, the next con you go to, can we just kind of travel along with you? And so that was really awesome. And my dad's going to be 80 in January. And so they want to go to BabsCon with me next year. So that was really cool. And this is the first con I've been to without my son. So I really miss him. Usually he's sitting right here by me. So, but yeah, he goes to all of them with me. My daughter's been to a couple. She was the hardest. She kept saying, I'm not a brony. I'm not going to be a brony. I don't like the ponies. I'm never going to like the ponies. Guess who goes to the con and draws ponies? Yeah. But it took 2 years to get her to do that. So we won her over. Way in the back.
Have you ever thought about making a bulk biceps?
No, actually somebody asked me at this con, so I don't know yet. Like I said, that's just a request, has to be sent to me before I'll make them. Because my list is so long, it's other people waiting. Yes. I have, I've made several of them. Sweetie Belle. Sweetie Belle. She's so adorable. Yeah, back in the back with the dinosaur.
Okay, how hard is it to make Rainbow Dash's tail? Because I have a Rainbow Dash clip on Bill and I are doing a reenact.
How hard is it to make Rainbow Dash's tail?
Yep.
The first few times I made it, it was the most difficult thing I'd ever made. And I couldn't figure it out, and I didn't like the way I was making it because I tried sewing all the fabrics together. And if you know anything about sewing, because Dash has this permanent curve to the tail, all the colors are also curved. When you try to sew the pieces together, you put the right sides together, which makes the curve going the opposite of what it's supposed to. And then when I tried to sew the seams together, they kept puckering and gathering, and I could not get that tail to look like it was supposed to, and I just hated it. And I probably did 6 or 7 that way, and I just worked and worked, and I thought, I hope nobody ever commissions another Rainbow Dash, because I hate things. And then I figured out, rather than try to sew the seams together, treat it like an applique. So I now cut out all the pieces, and I stack them on top of each other with Wonder Under, and I zigzag down the seam like an applique. And that made the tails lay so much nicer. It made them like they're supposed to look, and now I don't mind them at all. So, yes. No, I want to. Because you believe how many of these I've made, and I think, this one's mine, I'm keeping it, and nobody's getting it. And then somebody calls and says, I want a Rainbow Dash, and I'm like, oh, okay, there you go. Yes. I've made a lot of derbies. I think I took 3 to BrodyCon, and those were also all gone the first day. Yes.
Have you ever done a snails?
Actually, I did a snips. Snips. That's a long, skinny one, right? Yeah, I did one, and he's on my DA, and he turned out really, really good. That's the only one I've ever made. It's snails with the long, skinny neck. And I just did the one. I haven't done the other one. So, but somebody actually requested that one, so I did. So, in the back, black. Yes, you. Stallions? Well, I've made Big Mac. Other than Big Mac, I'm getting ready to make my son's OC. He's got a beard, so that one's going to be tricky how to figure that one out. Yeah. Well, yeah, I made Dusty Cats with his mustache. And that was fun. When Dusty first mentioned about his OC a couple years ago, he said, well, I don't know how you're going to do the mustache, so when I finally decided to make it, I had to figure it out, but it's actually got wire with inside stuffed minky. So, but it turned out really cute. I even did his tattoo. So I took a piece of minky, and it's on a band and Velcro, and so it's Velcroed around the leg. So his OC's even got his Dash tattoo on him. Yeah, way in the back. How many OCs? I haven't really done for like other fans, and even like Minecraft things. You know, some people want Minecraft ponies, and I haven't done much of that. I mean, I've pretty much stuck with the show unless they're OCs, and if they're OCs that are similar to the show, then I do those. I just don't get too far outside the box, I guess, because like I said, it's what I like to do. So, yeah, in fact.
Have you ever made a flash sentry?
No. And everybody that asks me these questions, if I've ever made this, then you need to go on my DA page because they're all there, and you can see what I've made and what I haven't. So rather than asking what I've made, just go on there and look, and you'll see every one I've ever made, because I take, even if it's the same one over, every time somebody commissions a pony, I take a picture of it. So there may be 25 Rainbow Dashes on there, but I take a picture of every one. And the reason I do that is because the person that commissions, they want to see what they're getting. And so I take a picture of it before I send it. So everything I've ever made is on my DeviantArt pages. Yes. I go through Uline and I buy boxes in pallets. I make a lot of ponies. And I just get the size of box that I need, and I have Uline ship them to me, and they ship them overnight. And I usually buy 50 boxes at a time, and then I ship them out priority. I always send priority. The shipping's not that much for that size of box. It's like $14, $12, unless it goes to the East Coast, and then it's a little more expensive. But I always ship them priority. That way people get them. I have a tracking number, so we don't lose them because they're expensive. I have lost 2 to date. I did a art rarity a couple years ago, and it went to California, And the gal that, it was the guy that bought it, his secretary, assistant, whatever, she refused it because she didn't know the name on the box. And that box bounced around the post office for 3 months and finally came back to me, and then I shipped it to him. And then I just got one back in the mail from France that I have sent to this guy 3 times. And I'm not sending it again. So I don't know what's going on with that one. But in 2.5 years, that's only 2 that we've ever had trouble with. In the red shirt?
Have you ever wanted to make any characters that comics?
Characters that are exclusive to Nightmare Rarity? Oh, comics? No, because that's fan fiction stuff that I don't get into. Yeah, I don't have time is the problem, guys. I rely on my son to send me the really cool stuff. So he sends me links to the really neat stuff, like the video with Luna, Princess of the Night, Children of the Night. And he sends me all the really cool links to stuff like that, and I love that video. But I just don't have time. If I'm sitting on the internet and looking up this stuff, if I'm reading comics, I am not sewing. And then I've got commissioners that are going, how come you're not sewing? So I just don't have time. Yes, in the back.
You ever gotten a request that you thought was really strange or weird?
Many. I do. I've had several contact me. They want me to do ponies for some game-related thing they're trying to come out with. I get all the time people ask me to send them ponies for free because somebody in their family's dying. I had that one that said, send me a free pony because if you don't, I know where you live. I don't know how they know that, but okay. I have a 9mm, come on. I don't know how to use it. So, I do. I get some strange requests. I get people that are just plain flat out rude. I think every artist on DA does it one time or another. Get people that call me names and tell me, somebody your age, how could you like ponies? What's wrong with you? You're sick. You get all those. And then I get them that ask me for humanized versions of everything under the sun, and I just don't make that kind of stuff. And so, and then I've had the whole Lyra thing when that was going on, and they asked me if my Lyras were, uniquely made, and I'm like, just get off the DA, really? Okay, anybody else? Way in the back.
Keeping it PG-13, what is the weirdest request you've ever gotten?
I don't know about weird. Like I said, the whole Lyra thing, that was the one they kept asking me about if my ponies were, designed like the one that was on the internet there for a while. And I guess that's probably the only really weird one. And most of those I just didn't even answer. I just told them, go away. Any other questions? Okay.
Are you packing meat right now?
No. And the airline wouldn't let me on with my gun. I do have a permit to carry though. Way in the back. What? Okay.
What did you ever do with the first 2 Fluttershy commands?
Actually, I tried to contact the person that got my very first one. I still had their email because they paid with PayPal, so I tried to contact them. I sent them several notes asking them if they'd be interested in returning that to me. I never did hear back from them. The guy that did ordered it for his girlfriend and had me embroidery on the bottom, said, I love you. So I don't know if they just didn't want to. I told them I'd make up a brand new one, but I didn't hear back because I would have loved to have that first one back, but I didn't hear back from them. And I didn't try the second one. The first one's on, because it was my first one, I wanted it back. But that's okay. I do have this Falsterkorn up here was one of the first alicorns I ever made. And as you can see, she has changed quite a bit to Luna, because that was they're the same pattern. Well, this is the revisions. So as you can see, she's changed quite a bit. And so yeah, I kind of wanted that first one back. But there is a picture on my DA, and I think it's of Applejack, and it's before and after. So if you go and look at that one, you'll see there's quite a bit of difference. So. Okay, I think we're about running out of time. So, does anybody want to draw for a plush? Hang on. Okay, what I ask, and this is is what I always do with all my contests, is whoever wins, please be respectful. I know everyone wants to win, and I honestly wish I had 1,000 plushies I could just give away, because it's so much fun to give them away. But please be respectful, be happy for the people who do win, okay? And I do expect to hear a lot of, oh, because I do every time. That's okay, just be respectful. Okay, also, like I said, I have decided to give away my little filly. So whoever wins, when I draw here, you will have a choice. You can come and get Twilight or the filly. You will have a choice because the first place winner. Hang on. Okay, we're ready to go home. Okay, 420.
Oh, wait, no.
I think everybody has a 420. 1, 8, 0.
You better take Twilight, Steve!
Oh, it doesn't match. Oh, one more.